on, your phone? Yes, I'll double check it on YouTube, just to make sure you can hear. We go ahead and get started. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at approximately 1:32. First, we have a public hearing. It would include these two variance requests and an unsafe, unsound substandard structure, followed by citizen comments. And those can be brief because the citizens can also talk at length and be answered by us during the normal session. But for the public hearing, it's variance request plan 25-7. Applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. The request is by Kalpesh. Holy smokes.
Katahari.
Say that again?
Katahari.
Yes, that's that person.
Got it.
At 1901 Eskridge Street. The second one is a variance request, plan 25-8. Applicant is requesting to reduce the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 10 feet. The request is by Marlene Carter Lawson, property location 620 East Avenue B. And then lastly, an unsafe substandard structure at 528 Bromley Avenue. Bromley survey number 12 lots 28 and 29. Now, are there any citizen comments? We cannot respond.
So
Just talk for about 3 minutes and then we move on to the items for consideration and then we can have a dialogue as long as it takes to resolve the issue.
So if anybody wants to speak now, you can. If you're one of the applicants or one of the property owners, you can also speak during our agenda item topic. So you can choose to speak now for 3 minutes. When we can't respond to you, or we can ask you to speak during your agenda item topic and we will be able to have that conversation. So does anybody want to speak now?
All right, moving on, items for consideration. The first one would be to discuss and take appropriate actions on the minutes for 7 May 2024. Wow, that's a long time ago. Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting.
We don't meet often. Did you guys all have an opportunity to read through those minutes? Anybody have any changes, any other considerations? All right.
Do we do voice votes or roll call?
I would ask for a motion and then ask for a second also.
Have a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting.
Go ahead.
We have a second.
I second.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Tina to approve the minutes from the May 7th meeting and a second from Paul Rupp. Tess, if you'll call roll.
Okay, Stephanie,
Present. You can say yes or no.
yes or no on the,
Oh, yes.
okay.
Here.
Christy Littleton,
Yes.
Paul Rudd,
Yes.
Tina Groscliffe,
Yes.
Noise Livingston,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, the second item is to discuss and take appropriate action on variance request, plan 25-7. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. Request by Kalpesh Chadahari. Location is 1901 Eskridge Street. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that item issue?
Let me present it and then I'll ask John.
Oh, that's
Johnson,
right,
who's
the city.
contractor, to
That's
come in.
right. I forgot the city.
No, no problem. We don't do this often, so bear with us. So this application came in to us to request a variance, and it's this end lot right here. This one that is 617920. I don't know if you can tell where my mouse is. So a standard city setback lot on a side setback is 5 foot, except for where that side lot line abuts a city right of way, whether that be an alley or a roadway. And then we require 15 feet. So Howard Street is a little unusual as it is a very large city right of way because it has an open air drainage ditch that you see that runs right along here. And then this road. So that road is set closer to the commercial location next door. Has that 28 foot of street frontage or street right of way. And then it's got the additional right of way that is currently used by our drainage ditch. So this property applicant is just asking to reduce that side setback from 15 foot to 10 foot. Obviously, the city can't approve that, and so we have to say what the rules are. The rules are that you have 15 feet, but he can make his case to you as to why he wants a lesser setback. So I will kind of scroll through. John, give me just a second to get, I mean, go ahead, you speak and I'm gonna pull up your photos.
Hello, my first time here, so I don't really know too much about it. Now, we built a house on 1901 Eskridge, and the drainage ditch is about 20 feet wide, and that's back about 5 feet from the Howard Street. And so actually, from Howard Street to where our property line is a little over 25 feet. And our lot that we're building the house on, if we were to, and this is my fault, because I had plans and I buried the plans. I changed them. But I put the stairs on the side of the house. And that's at the 10-foot property line. And after there was 2 reasons I did it. The first reason is if I didn't put them there, I had to put them in the front. And if I put them in the front of the house, it takes up half the width of the house, and you lose quite a bit of parking space. You only have half the parking space underneath it. But I was wrong to do it, and I was under the impression that I talked to the owner, Kapish, and he told me that he had replotted the lot and it would be okay. Well, that was my fault. No way should I have done it without coming and checking out, but I didn't, and that's just something I did, and I'm sorry about it. But it's, if you look across the street where the store is there, that store, I know it's a commercial property, that store, from where the overhang is on the store to Howard Street is 24 feet. And if you look from where my stairs are to Howard Street, it's like 44 feet. But that's because the ditch is there. It's the only thing I'm asking is to see if I can keep my stairs there. If not, then I have to move the stairs around the front and lose half the parking space. And it's I shouldn't have done it, and I did. I'm sorry.
So just for kind of clarification for you guys, the building permit came in and it was approved in compliance with the current setbacks. John was under the impression that he did just have that 5-foot setback, so he thought the change that he made, and we see changes like this made all the time, and then as-built submitted afterwards. So he thought that the change that was made was going to be in compliance with city setbacks. It wasn't until the form board survey, which we started getting after a lot of different variance requests previously, that we noticed that that was actually going to be in the setbacks. So we went and spoke with John, we explained the situation to him. So if you look at this picture that's up on the screen right now, the lot line is, I would say, about even where that vegetation line is, right in here. So that would actually be the lot line. So those stairs are a little over 10 feet from where that property line would be. If they were in compliance with the city setback, they would be flush with the wall of the house that you kind of see up here. And you guys can see those pictures in your packet also if you want a closer view. So not in compliance with city setbacks, but not something that the city would fight hard if you wanted to give a variant on, given the location, the lack of traffic in that area, and the fact that that will likely always remain a drainage ditch. So this does not impact any street frontage specifically.
Is that gonna set a precedent?
Nope. So we've discussed with lawyers before that that every situation is unique, and no decision that you make sets any kind of precedent. We've allowed other variances for side setbacks in unique situations, and we've denied variances for setbacks in situations where the uniqueness of the property didn't really call out for it. If this was a roadway that went all the way across, city staff would have argued much harder against it. We would have tried to convince the contractor, the property owner, that a variance would not be likely. In this situation, I said, this is really up to the board. The city won't fight it. We like to uphold our standards, but we understand that not every lot is kind of cookie cutter.
One other thing, if you, at the other end of the block at 2013, we had the same house. And the stairs are coming down the side there. But we had 15 feet.
Mhm. And if you guys will look in your packet, I did not, I apologize, I did not include the survey there, but it's the same house built on the other side, but because of the way that the lots are and the house was laid out on the lot, it looks like it's really similar in comparison to the roadway, but it does meet that 15-foot setback.
I know we're not setting a precedent, but that's what I was gonna ask. Are there any other lots with this condition where this is,
Throughout
abnormal?
town, you mean?
Maybe even just in, next to this ditch, where perhaps other people are gonna wanna build stairs in this area?
So next to, let me pull up this map again. So this map gives you a pretty good kind of sight on what's there.
Okay, so there's the three.
So there's two lots on the other side, and I believe that the one directly across from this, John, is that already built, that 258? No. So it could be a situation where these two lots here face that same conundrum, or they could choose not to, not to even mess with it and build within those setbacks. But other than that, there's nothing in this area that would kind of be similar to this.
So in the future, they could build actual structure in this area as opposed to just stairs.
So this approval would be for the stairs only to remain in
Stairs
the
only.
setback.
Okay.
Yeah, what you guys want to do whenever you approve variances is if you choose to give them the variance, it needs to be the narrowest scope to achieve kind of what we're looking for. So I would say, we're not granting a setback variance of 10 feet. We're granting a variance of allowing the stairs to be in the setback.
Right, so then flooding and all other sorts of things are not a concern because it's stairs.
Setbacks typically aren't there for flooding purposes. It's more for scope away from streets, away from other houses.
Parking is probably the most important thing in this
Yep.
town.
And like John
Not
said, if
just
those
there.
stairs came across the front or down the middle, it would, it would remove 2 or 3 parking spaces from underneath that house.
And that's an STR.
It's in an STR neighborhood. So I assume at some point it will be an STR, but I don't believe it is. I mean, it's under construction right now, so.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, so that was motion by Tina and seconded by Paul.
No, I don't think you said it. Did you say second?
No.
I'll second.
I heard a second.
I think he was asking for a second.
Oh,
It's
okay.
hard from down there.
I can't see back here. I'm sorry.
But Paul did say yes, he seconds it.
All right, Tina Grosspos.
Yeah.
Paul Ruff,
Yes.
Yes.
Stephanie Mustank,
Yes.
Christy Littleton,
Yes.
and Noise Livingston.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, John.
All good, John.
I want to thank everybody for their time and understanding. All right, thank you.
All right, the next item is to discuss and take appropriate action on variance request plan 25-8. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 10 feet requested by Marlene Carter Lawson. Property location 620 East Avenue B. And it looks complicated to me, so the city's going to paint a picture for us, is that right?
We will. So, this property right here, this where my arrow is right here is the little chapel on the stairs. Near and dear to everybody's heart here in Port Aransas. Right here.
Where's your arrow? Oh, okay.
So that chapel is obviously very important to us, owned by the Carter Lawson family. They also own this property over here. which they are currently in the process of,
Whittle your arrow again.
right over here, sorry. Yeah, see if you
Okay,
can- this house right here.
okay, got it.
They're adding
Thank you, Tom.
additional living space to the side here, and they are and they are wanting to add a
It's
rear,
Probably dim light.
a rear screened porch back here. The porch will, the porch that they want extends into the setback about 4 feet. In this situation, very similar to the last one, there's a uniqueness to this property where it does abut that. And if you guys have not, if you aren't familiar with the Little Chapel in the Dunes, that's on a very high dune there. So there's a dune slope that goes down to the back of the property in question. That they're also working on platting in a way that that lot will be protected from any development, ever in the future. So in this situation, they're not really I mean, they own the property now, but they're not really impacting any neighbors, which is typically why those setbacks are there. So we told her that it was, again, we like to preserve our ordinances, but we understand that not all situations are the same. And we left this up to you guys to come and talk. So Miss Lawson will address you guys now.
Thank you all for letting me come. And yes, so the two little L shapes create an acre there, and the chapel is, Phil said, very, very high. It may be the highest point on the island at one point. That's what I thought. Don't break my bubble. Anyway, so my Uncle Frank's house, which we are going to put hopefully a little addition right there. A little bedroom, which has already been framed and approved. And then on that south side, we would just like to have a little screen porch right there so that we can sit and look up at my grandmother's chapel. And so and yes, we will be putting the chapel that I'll be here for another hearing on that. So that we can have a little walkway, and we will make a nonprofit for that little chapel to protect it. But in the meantime, for the house, which was my grandmother's house, and then my Uncle Frank Carter's, we wanted to add this little extra piece on that little south side so that we can actually just sit and look at the chapel. And in order to make it even viable to sit there with enough leg room, and we're all tall, we needed to have a little extra uchi of feet from that. So we would like to take 5 feet from the 10 and add, well, I guess that's 4 feet onto that spot. Do they have this?
They do.
Okay.
And I was just about to say, if you guys look at page 20, that's a good example of where the current setback is and where the proposed setback is being for.
And we will have slope easements around this. Jim Atwill, our neighbor to the south there, has been very kind. He put a slope easement on his side of the chapel so that there's no development over there. And
So you guys know a slope easement, because some of that dune is going to go down onto somebody else's property. So some of this dune next to on the south side here goes down into Jim Atwell's property. So he would be well within his rights right now to kind of chop that dune off and build
I have
or
a question
do
about the
something.
dune.
And then in that situation, that would compromise the integrity of the dunes. So they've approached their neighbors and everybody's willing to give that easement. So it makes a portion of Jim Atwell's property unbuildable. It makes a portion of the other properties unbuildable to protect that dune, to protect that chapel on top.
So is that dune one of the protected dunes?
It's not.
Like
So-
at the beach?
Nope. So our critical dune area, which is the only dunes that are protected in Port Aransas, extends from mean high tide out 1,000 feet. So in this area, that ends somewhere up here. So it's quite far away from those dunes.
I
I would
just wondering,
say,
because there's dunes like around town and you wonder, are those protected?
I mean, at one time, I think probably all of Port Aransas was kind of a dune structure like that.
Mhm.
But really it is that first 1,000 feet that's protected by the National Resource Code and by our city ordinances.
So you can build all over that area if you
You
want.
could, if the chapel did not exist there, you could completely wipe that dune out and build.
Okay. Well, we don't want.
Nope.
No, and we don't either.
No.
So
I-
that's why we're gonna protect it even past my generation and my 6 kids and all of that. We're going to make sure that that's a little protected piece for the island. But we would like to be able to sit on a porch, and it looks so little there in that picture, but it doesn't, it's like Nicole said, that's a high sweep up
Mhm.
to that chapel.
Yeah, it's
So
very high up.
anyway, we'd love to have the little extra 4 feet is what I'm asking. If that's all right, and we do own the property all around it except for Jim Atwill's. So I think
So they own this L-shaped property and this L-shaped property,
Point to them again, please.
these two.
So they ultimately have the power to replat and do that anyway if they wanted to. Is that correct?
Correct.
we could, and I
Okay,
talked to
okay.
Elizabeth Bundret. She's actually helping us put something to connect the walkway to the chapel so that we can actually do, a nail down thing for our nonprofit. But anyway, that's there's one half belonged to my father and the other half belonged to his brother, my Uncle Frank, and that's why it's shaped like that. But there's really no boundary. It's all now called Chapel on the Dune LLC is what we've put it in.
Any discussion for the applicant?
So you said you are trying to file the paperwork to make this dune protected, is that what I
So-
understand?
So I think, and we're still kind of discussing the path forward to do that. I think that what the current plan is to try to plat that or the chapel separately from all the other property and then declare that unbuildable in the future. So that would be a protected piece of property by plat.
Right, well, I'm just, would it make sense to have this discussion after that was already complete?
I don't think it really changes anything.
I mean, you could kind of just,
They want to build their own
that one square, just.
Yeah.
time.
I mean, they're the owners right now and they're saying that nothing's ever gonna be built there, so this
Right.
setback change wouldn't make a
It's
difference.
2 separate, I mean, even now it's 2 separate things. And even when we replat it with Elizabeth doing that, it's still gonna be exactly the same. The only part that we're gonna do is enlarge the little piece going down to 11th Street so that people can walk from 11th Street up to the chapel, and that could still be part of the nonprofit, which we're gonna make that the safeguard for it. So, I mean, it doesn't change anything.
The only,
what
yeah,
I'm
the only
saying.
thing it really changes is she's saying that the June's property or the chapel's property would never be built on.
Right, I
The
just-
plat would say officially it would never be built on.
Right, but is it just like, you just draw a line, or like who calculates which parts of the dunes are protected versus not? Is there
We
a
do.
survey?
We have it surveyed.
The surveyor, the
Right.
property owner decides what they want to do. So we're not forcing them to make it unbuildable. We're not forcing them to do this replat. They're choosing to do that so that if that ever changes hands, if it goes to her children, so her children couldn't ever make the decision to knock down the chapel, not that they would, but make that decision to knock down the chapel. So it's really just a property owner decision
Yeah,
that helps you guys look at the situation and say that it's not going to affect anybody and then solidifies that later on.
I moved to approve it.
Is there any discussion from the audience before we do anything else? Okay, discussion? Motion,
I'm not- Motion to approve.
second?
That was a motion approved by Tina.
And a second from Christy.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all, I couldn't see. from back.
Mhm.
All right, Paul Russ,
Yes.
Stephanie Mistake,
Yes.
Christy Littleton,
Yes.
Tina Grosskopf,
Yes.
Noise Livingston.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I'll be back about the other part.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is consider and take appropriate action on the following unsafe substandard structure at 528 Brumley Avenue. Dan Brumley survey number 12 lots 28 and 29. The city?
Yep. Okay. So maybe a couple of you on this board remember this property. We've brought it a few times before. So this property, we had our eyes on of needing some rehab work prior to the hurricane. And then the hurricane obviously happened and, devastated a lot of things on the island and a lot of these really good old homes, this being one of them. So this was brought to the board a couple of times where the board made the decision to declare it substandard, unsafe, but to also give the property owner a little bit of time to get things together in order to pull permits, in order to make this property back up to code, habitable again. And unfortunately, that never really happened. We have dealt with a lot of things since the hurricane that have kind of hindered our progress on that. COVID stopped a lot of things. The family had a death in the family that slowed it down from last year too. In the meantime, at the last meeting, the board asked the family to get an engineer's report and to get a contractor to pull permits. That didn't happen, so the city hired an engineer to go out and look at the property. And if you look, what you guys have in front of you, we wanted to include the notice of hearing that went out to the property owners in accordance with state law and city ordinance. And kind of the checklist of items that we gave the property owners to let them know kind of where we thought that the house fell a little bit short of building code ordinances. On page 9, you will see the report from Windshore Engineering regarding the status of the house. And if you guys want a few minutes to read through that, if you didn't get a chance to prior to the meeting, let me know, and I don't mind pausing for a little while. Past that letter, you've got a list of the ownership, the people that have some form of ownership in the property. And then we start on our pictures. So does anybody need a couple of minutes to read through that engineer's report? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start here through the pictures. And those pictures you can follow along in your packet. So you can follow those pictures along in your packet.
So, you know what number that's?
I believe that it starts on
35.
35.
35, okay. Make sure.
Okay. There you can see kind of the condition of the house. Not much has changed since the previous meetings. There's some properties being built next door that you can see kind of in the background of some of these photos. So if you guys will go to page 41. So at the end of January, Carla, myself, and our building official, Scott, and this is Scott's kind of first foray into this house because he's only been our building official for about a year now, went, and I am going to let him speak about kind of the condition of some of these pictures. Yeah.
So what we wanted to do is go back and compare the Windshore report with what it looks like today, right? So in that, which.
41.
So.
You want the ones you marked?
I'll just go, that's fine.
Okay.
Can you put your mic down?
So the engineer mentioned he probed the posts that support the house. So I brought my own probe. It's about 30 inches long. And I was able to penetrate all the way through the posts that support this house. Basically, they're gone, they're rotted. And that's what you see in that picture. And these are all the ones that we checked were the exterior posts along the wall lines, we didn't
We
crawl.
did not crawl under it.
Yeah. Uh-uh.
Probably smart,
What's that?
Probably smart.
probably
Yeah.
smart.
Then if you guys will go to page 43.
We didn't bother probing that one. It was pretty obvious what was going on.
Our next page is 55, but definitely pay attention to those photos in between. Take your time.
So, this was another thing that the engineer had mentioned. What you're seeing in that page is, we'll start with the right side of that column. And the beam that's actually supporting the floor joist. Everybody on that page? It looks like the original beam rotted out, so a second beam was put in place there. It's a girder beam, but it's actually flat. It's actually laid down flat, so it's not really doing anything. And the engineer mentioned that the floor is bowed. It's also shimmed up to fit
You see on top
With-
of that post?
on top of the
Remember,
post.
there's not photos. All the same
Okay.
functionality. So on the top of that post there, you see the long beam that comes across this way is just shimmed with another piece underneath.
Like you can see the page numbers.
Yeah, you can't see the picture.
You might want to just look at the screen.
So this right here, this is a shim that's holding this long post up, which
That-
is not
That's
current
laid flat.
engineering practice. Not doing enough to support that house.
It's also not secured to the post or the floor joists themselves. And if you go one more page, one more photo, you can see how it's bowed where the floor joists are stitched together. And then it's supported by a block along the rim joists on the right-hand side. Just a little block underneath the post.
This here.
You got a pointer? Yeah. So that's a concern.
Yeah.
These are just photos of the cladding. The exterior siding is all rotten everywhere, all the way around. So it's no longer weatherproof. But it's resisting wind. It's not wind resistant.
Definitely, I would say more than half of the windows are broken or non-existent. Same with these posts.
So can you stop at that one? Go back down. I was probing this post, but what's interesting, go up a little bit. The other way,
Yeah, they're up.
up, yeah, move it up.
So the other half.
No, back. So you can see the barrels. Right below my elbow, there you go. So, you know we didn't get a good picture of it, but what's interesting about those barrels is they're full of water. And there's a tie strap that's tied around the post, as if they're, and I don't know if this is true, but it's almost as if they're trying to keep it from falling down or lifting up in a wind event.
Is there any historical significance to this building?
I mean, I think definitely with the family, you always feel like you're building the
It's emotional.
house. So it's definitely an emotional historical attachment.
Any historical significance to Port Aransas?
There's no, unfortunately, there's no real buildings in Port Aransas besides the Tarpon Inn that have really had any kind of declaration of historical value made. And so while they are all near and dear to our heart, that's the only one in town that is like that.
So how old is this building then?
We don't know an exact build date, but we estimate that it's probably early sixties. And then, here we've got some photos of the interior, and it definitely, what worries us is we get reports of people there being some habitation of the building, which is a pretty scary thing for us. Don't always know who it is that's there, but you can definitely see some signs that, you know, people are living kind of in this unsafe way. There's currently obviously no electricity and no water to this building. Yes, sir.
What is the, if you don't mind, if it's appropriate, what is a roll-up of the board decisions previously on this? The agreements made to comply with those decisions on this, and how did we get here today again on this?
So, like I said, we've brought it to the board before where the board has given them, I can't remember the exact amounts and I apologize. 30 days one time, 60
Typical.
days another time,
Okay.
and then just life events have happened,
Okay.
both for the city where we have not been able to fully follow up with that. So we always felt that it was appropriate to come back to the board
Okay.
in those situations. So the last time we met, I believe that one was when we gave them 60 days to get an engineer's report, which didn't happen. We wanted to come back to the board with an engineer's report, which is why we hired an engineer to give us that report, to let us know what that looked like. So the last meeting was several years ago.
Yeah, we've had, we had a meeting on January 9th of 23 with,
And this
A
was
couple-
outside of this
Yes.
meeting. We had a building department meeting.
So this has been in the hands of the owners of the structure to do something with it, in accordance with
Correct.
board
Right.
decisions, okay.
Yeah.
So is anybody out in the community that would like to speak to this? Because there's a lot of people out there.
Yep. Now, if you guys want.
Introduce your name and where you live.
My name is Heather Cornet. I live in Aransas Pass, but I grew up in Port Aransas. So my sister-in-law is Kristen Connor, formerly Kristen Matheson. And so her father actually passed away last April. And so this is actually the first notice that we have received in regards to this house. And so we had no idea what was going on. And so my brother, who is married to Kristen, is a contractor in Port Aransas. We just did a multi-million-dollar new build on Oleander Street. Him as well as my father own C&B Construction. They did go over and take a look at the house after receiving this notice and are very confident that this structure can be saved. We do work with Lynn Engineering and would be happy to get it re-engineered through Lynn. I cannot guarantee that that would be like within the 10 days that was given on this notice. It's a process. But Linda Collins, which is her aunt, did receive a engineering report dated November 7th of 2023. And she does report that this was emailed into Carla. I'm not sure on that, but it does state that it is structurally sound. And so I'm happy to provide this to y'all if you need it.
This was provided.
They're trying to follow you. And we're trying to follow you too, so
Yeah,
be patient with us.
yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember, but I do know that January 9th of 23.
Linda Collins and the
Linda
Bowen.
Collins, Linda Collins and the Bowens came in. We had a meeting with one of the former city secretary or city attorneys. And it was decided that they would have until February 13th to come up with a plan. And that plan was never,
We didn't hear from anybody.
we never heard from anybody after that, so.
And so, you guys received the notice this time because of her
Yes,
passing. So
exactly.
he was the owner previously, and he was receiving the notices. So the first time that they received.
Who's the
notice-
owner now?
There's many
not
owners.
all
If
the
you look
boxes.
in
Oh, I
your,
didn't
in
look
your
at that.
property packet, there's part of the complexity of the case is that there's multiple owners of the property.
So who's
Is
the
it a-
responsible executive on this issue right now? Or are there competing executives and voices?
I do not
I
know. I
guess we're gonna
believe it
hear.
is, yep. And
Okay, well, go ahead with
Okay.
yours, please.
Yeah, and so all we would ask is that we be given time to go in, secure the structure, number one. That is not a difficult process and that can be easily done so that they may have a family meeting now that Herb's children are involved. And like I said, there's nothing that my brother and father cannot fix. But just give us that time to actually have a family meeting with her side of the family and see if we can actually move this forward. And then in 30 days, if we cannot get something moving forward, then we at least had our opportunity to at least try.
But you also need time to settle some family decision-making issues also, is that correct?
That's what I'm saying. In that time to hold like a
Okay.
family meeting to make that actual decision, but at least get the house boarded up. No one else needs to be in there at all. And so the house can be secured to make sure that that does not occur. So
Any questions for the applicant or co-applicant or multiple
Co-owner.
applicants or octopus applicants or whatever?
I know. Any questions for Heather? Thank you.
How fast could you get the house boarded and secured?
Secured, I would say that could be done within, this had 30 days on it, but I would say within at least 3 weeks, as long as, you know, the family meeting can take place and they can kind of come to an agreement on that. But that would not take long at all. We have a long history of that too, because we have rentals. So we are well versed in that,
And when we talk secured, we're talking windows, doors, no
Windows.
access to the building.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah, to where you can't even break in with a hammer.
Maybe
That
even
level.
flooring since it's exposed from.
From underneath, yeah. Yeah, you can play with that down as well.
Or fencing?
So yeah, I was gonna say maybe some security fencing might be a benefit.
Yeah, so we do have like construction level fencing. Like we just finished our project on Oleander. So it would like padlock close. It was pretty tall to
Is that
surround.
within our purview to recommend or require something like
I
that?
believe that's all within your purview.
Oh, okay. Anything else for this person?
Good,
No,
okay.
Thank you.
Let me
Heather.
know. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Would anybody else care to speak?
Come on up.
Oh, no worries. If you need to sit down, feel free.
And who you are and where you live, sir?
Well, my name is Wayne Bowen. And I am now currently staying with my son in Rockport. But my home address is Brumley Street, Port Aransas.
Okay.
The house is not livable right now and has not been for some time. 2.5 years ago, whenever it was, we come to a meeting over here. And they wanted to tear the house down. Said it was structurally unsound, falling apart. Okay. I said, I'll tear all the sheetrock and insulation out and we'll see what the structure is in there. If it's no good, I want it tore down too. Well, there is no rotten structure nowhere in the house. There is pilings underneath the house that needs replacing. There's no doubt about that. Some of those pilings been there for right at 60 years. I don't remember exactly what it adds up to. The first part of the house was started being built in 64. I think it might have been 65, but I can't remember. The last part, the last half, the one the man was, I guess it was you, probing in that piling right. It was built in 71. And I absolutely agree that piling needs to be changed out, and so does some of the others. But many of the other pilings in there are still stand strong. And on the outside, where you were showing that piling there a while ago was a big hollow place in there on the outside. Can you roll it to that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, a little too far. Sorry about that. Are you talking about the one that had the barrels next to it or the one that
Yeah.
was the one with the barrels?
We'll just use that for an example.
Okay. Sorry, this mouse is not cooperating.
And you were speaking to someone about something about the wires, or what did you, I didn't understand what you said.
That it appeared that maybe those barrels were strapped to the piling that was there in place.
Oh, yeah, that was true. Okay. They were strapped there to hold them in place because I was trying to catch a little water, like I want to wash my hands or something, since the city turned my water back off again. When I commenced to doing work over there, I had to replace the plumbing, the water, all the way from the property line, all the way down, all the way across underneath the house to right there by those barrels. Because it had been laid on top of the ground and froze and busted. And I was not the one that did that. So I dug a trench underneath the house, about a foot deep, because I don't think we have weather here to freeze below that deep. And I run water line from there all the way to the other side of the house, down, and one out in the front, right by the steps. There's another water faucet there, and one out close to the street. And I have lots of water hoses there. And they come turn my water off and want to give my money back for paying, because I just paid my water bill and it wasn't even late at all. Anyway, they turned the water off, so I was trying to save some water in those barrels. Wash my hands, whatever, not to drink, wash my hands.
And how long ago was that?
About 3 months ago, I guess, 4, I don't know how long. And that piling right there, that is not rot from being there. I don't know who thinks it is or don't think it is, but that is not rot from being there. That was a marine piling that was eat out over the years, and that's marine worms that eat that piling out. And that was to support a carport that was there for many, many years. And the piling looked just like that when it was put in. That was not me doing that, it was my father doing that. I would not have put that piling in at all. But nevertheless, it's been there through many bad weather. The carport is down because the grapevines from the next door neighbors or somewhere growed up over the top of it, and it rusted tin out. Then the tin rusted out, then that rotted the, been rained and wet, that rotted all of the 2x6s out that went across there. Because I had put 2x6s across, and then instead of 1x4s, I put 2x4s across to lay my tin on it and nail it down. So the carport is no longer there because I tore it down. It needed to be down. The structure of the house is not nothing wrong with it. There's not one rotten timber in that, in the building part. The pilings, absolutely. I will not argue that part. That there is piling that needs to be changed. There's no doubt about that. There's
Go on,
some
ask
that
you a
has
question
been
if I may.
changed and hasn't been completed was ironing into the foundation. There's pilings under there, needs to be done some, you know, the timber is going across the pilings. They need to be fastened properly. It takes a lot of work. And it has been being worked on. It took a lot of work, you know,
I understand.
because I've done the majority of the tearing, the sheet rock and the insulation now. So we're all,
Well, relevant to what he's saying, if the house is saleable, does it have to be brought up to current code in all regard?
Correct, because the damage to the house is more than 50%, the value of any kind of rebuild to this house would be more than 50% of the current value of the house. Every aspect of the house has to be brought up to current building codes. Thankfully, this house doesn't have the same situation that we saw in a lot of other houses after Harvey of not being at the right elevation or being out of compliance with setbacks. So the house wouldn't have, it could remain in that footprint. But everything else inside of the building, which had some major things inside of the building that don't meet current code, would have to be brought up to current code. So part of kind of the permitting of any work to be done would be a major discussion.
And that would preclude pilings that have been in the ground for a long time with shipworm holes from 3 decades ago.
Correct. Any pilings that would be found to be kind of not supportive would have to be replaced.
Anything else?
so I was listening, trying to.
I just wanted to clarify, because basically to save the house, you're talking about kind of a new house.
I'm sorry.
To save the house, you're kind of talking about a new house
Because of
to
the
have it
amount
compliant
of,
with code.
because of the amount of the things that are out of compliance with code right now, you would have to change quite a bit about the house
Sure,
in order to bring it up to that code.
sure. I know.
Would that include the inside framework?
That would include
Yes.
100% of everything that has to do with the house. So
We would treat it like new construction.
Well,
It'd be a challenge for sure.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm trying to drill down to, is basically it's you're rebuilding a house to current code today, just like all around town.
Well, I totally agree that the majority of the siding needs to be replaced. I totally agree that the needs some piling work in it. But the house has stood through many storms and it stood through Harvey. Now there's some windows broke out of it. No doubt. Harvey didn't do it. If a wind's blowing 150 mile an hour, whatever it is, against the window, where would y'all say the glass is gonna be? Inside the house, right? All the glass is on the outside, so there was somebody in there that was living there, had permission to be there before and after Harvey. Obviously, they was fighting or doing something and they broke the window out and the glass fell out on the ground.
sure, regardless of what caused the damage, the situation is that the house is damaged in that
Sure,
way.
it's
So,
damaged.
so we don't have to get into how it got to that condition or what caused it.
No,
It's just the reality of
Sure.
how the house stands now.
no, I understand that. I just know,
Plus, as it stands now from the pictures, it's a public nuisance or attraction.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some, you could tell there was
What's-
evidence of lots of animals inside, as
What's
well as.
concerning is the inside where the structure has newer wood. It's pieced,
Mhm.
so like, it's not a full, it might be a full, like, it might be a board that's new, but then there's another board pushed here and here, and they won't, that won't pass.
Correct.
I didn't understand what you said.
There's just a lot of construction on the interior of that house that does not meet current code standards. So a lot of that framing inside of the house would have to be changed out as well. Regardless of if that member of wood is rotten or not rotten, the way that it was constructed doesn't meet code. And so it would have to be reconstructed to meet code.
This is such a complicated story and it seems like there's a lot of people involved, but even to your point, our previous speaker, it would be nice to know that it was who is actually taking ownership of this, and is there a game plan? And I would love to give you 30 more days if I knew that there was someone who was stepping up, but it sounds like you've known about this since April of last year, and so is that correct? That they were brought on board last.
Heather and maybe the people that are associated with Heather
Yeah.
were involved in April of last year. Everybody else has been involved since 2018.
Right, so I'm not sure in that sense, like, how do we know anything's actually going to
Is
move
this a
forward?
trust?
Yeah, how is this all structured and?
Right, so they,
Not sure they.
I'm sorry, not in 24. This was, sorry, I apologize.
Right.
This
So-
past April. So they've just been newly. Sorry. about that.
Have a family meeting.
Right, but she's known about this since last April and there's been no family meeting. I'm just kind of wondering like how can we
Not in-
move forward?
I apologize. So Heather has not known about it since last April.
Okay,
Last April is when Herb, who was one of the owners that has known about it since 2018,
Right.
passed away.
got it,
His heirs. We've held on this for the last year
right,
and then notified his heirs this time. So she only received that notification, I would say within the last, the 30 days required. Yeah,
Okay.
that's about when we send them out. So we send out those notices 30 days ahead of time. So they are brand new players to the family group that has gotten these notifications since 2018.
right,
So what we've done in the past and what we always kind of do with substandard structures is, first of all, we make a determination that it's unsafe and substandard if you guys choose to do that. Then,
And we have done that in this case.
and we've done that.
We've done that many times.
Previous boards have done that a few times, in this specific case. We also give them an amount of time to either repair or remove. And that means that they have, if we give them that 30-day time frame, we give them the option to, within that 30 days, come to us with a building permit application that is acceptable to us. And we will work through the process with them on that, or choose to not go down that path and to remove it.
Got it.
After that 30 days, if neither of those options happen, then the city can take action to remove that house.
So what is that, where does that leave the family, like the homeowner? I don't know I guess it's the whole family that owns the house?
It's, if you guys look at
Is it a trust? Is it just
page 15,
Well, what a decision and a time does is force them to work together to do something.
right?
That's what we help do
But
with that
if
decision.
they cannot agree or something in 30 days and the city has to take action, where does that leave them? Like, the city comes in, tears down the house and what?
then we invoice them for that tear down. If they don't pay for that, then we lien the property and it sits like that until, until they either pull a permit to build a new house, to sell that lot. I mean, what action they take once that house is removed is kind of their
So they
decision.
can choose to tear it down on their own
They can choose to
Within
tear it
that.
down on their own.
or make a plan with you.
Or, on day 29, come to us and say, we've met as a family, we can't come to any decision. We don't know what to do. And then that's when the city would kind of help them move forward that way. Or come to us on day 29 and say, we made a decision as a family to rebuild. Here are our permit applications. And like Heather said, that group has built other properties in Port Aransas, so they are well aware of kind of the requirements to
Now,
get those
permit
building.
applications up to current code.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that all the people on this list have been contacted?
The notification that went out goes out to all of the people on that list.
So is that just the most recent mail out, or
Correct.
have they been?
So we
For-
do
years.
every time we have a meeting, we do a title search so that we know all of the proper owners. Last May, at our last meeting, some of you guys might remember that you were here. Somebody had died like the week before the meeting. And so we didn't feel like it was right to proceed forward, both because of the family dealing with that and because we knew that that would change kind of the ownership of
That's the
that
one.
portion of it. It's all in the minutes.
So that's how come they just got,
They got this notification this time because we had the opportunity to bring it back to the board now. So we did that title search. They were listed on that title search. We send it out to all of those people. So the same people that owned it before got new notifications, and these new owners
We're
also. got
kind of gonna do
notification.
what we've done before, but for a new group of people.
Right, we have
New time
players,
limits and new
right.
requirements and this, they will work together to determine if they're gonna comply or not comply, and then it moves forward after that. Well,
I guess.
anybody else out in the audience that has any comments or considerations or concerns?
I'm just a family friend, but, or his friend.
Okay.
I'm curious, are you talking about 15 people here or what? You don't even know how many people is it that are involved in this? I would just be curious. I'm curious.
There's a list.
Sitting here and
My
it's like
question is-
10 people or 15 or 8 or.
My question is just for the people here. They have a list of the people that who are heirs. Would you like to come up and make a comment?
14.
Well,
Some of the names are repeats.
And so I
Oh,
think
are
that's
there?
probably some of the complexity is, you know, when you've got that many owners, it's difficult for them all to get together.
10,
Oh,
15?
okay, so 1, 2.
That's not crazy.
Huh?
There's
There's
like
like
14.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was supposed to silence that damn thing.
It's okay.
7, 8.
This man is my friend. We go to church together.
10.
We do a lot of-
10,
Some of the
10.
repeat
10.
addresses, so
Okay.
10.
That's okay. it's
There's
fine.
10 owners.
I kicked it.
That's a lot. Or 1
I can tell you for a fact, he believes that the guy's gonna do some work there. He's
Say again,
very-
I'm
very
sorry.
faithful. He believes that God wants that property to do some work there. And I'm just telling you that straight out. I know that doesn't matter about the, you know, the whole thing necessarily. I'm sure it doesn't. But I'm telling you, that is the deal with this. He does not want to tear that place down. He wants to rebuild it, fix it somehow, some way. Because he believes he has worked with God to help save other souls at that place. Somehow, some way. He doesn't know how, but he said God told him that, and I believe he believes that.
Well, that would be a great argument with his family.
Yeah,
So
so I'm
we
just
need,
saying,
we need to move
Right.
on.
And
okay,
it's, you know,
Okay.
we like to see houses saved, especially
I
old.
get it. I'm not
historic,
gonna change
you know.
your minds or anything. I'm trying to shine some light on you guys, okay? That's all.
Appreciate it.
Well, I was inclined to give them,
Yeah, discussion, yeah,
Time.
discussion, yeah. Yes,
But-
anytime.
first, the house has to be secured, the house itself and the property. So fencing and totally boarding up the house. And then that also gives them time to contact whoever is involved,
On that list.
multiple owners. And then come back to us with their decision. Either
Can you
yay or nay.
fluff that up for us?
Yeah, so in an ideal situation, I think that
I'm gonna
you
write
guys
down this
probably
item
wouldn't
separately.
want to come back to the board to do anything. So I think that you guys would want to determine, you know, this is the amount of time we want to give them to do one of those two things, to fix the house completely and bring it up to standards, or to, you know, have the house removed from the
And they
property.
come back here.
And then they wouldn't come back
Oh,
here in
they
that
wouldn't.
situation. City staff would take care of that because you guys make that order. And that's your order.
So if they don't do
The
it,
order could, and the previous orders have read to repair or remove
Mhm.
in this
Then
timeframe.
that's
So
what we'll
when
recommend.
30 days or 60 days or, you know, 12 days, whatever you guys determine the time frame to be, when that day hits, city staff will say, well, we don't have any building permits. The house is still standing, and then we take action based on your orders.
How many
Because
parties
neither
are
of
on that
those-
list, roughly?
14.
of
That
those,
list of heirs.
I think there was
10.
10.
Okay,
Okay.
so 30 days
Well-
doesn't sound like a long time.
there
And I'm sorry,
seems to be like a builder now being involved,
Mhm.
maybe a step will get taken.
I mean, that's always our hope, when we declare these houses substandard, I mean, we want houses saved in Port Aransas, but when you get a house that is kind of beyond saving and has had ample opportunities, it's difficult.
And with a lot of the people involved. I mean, I got 3 sons and we can't make a decision in a year.
It may cost more to repair than just rebuild.
That's the.
Right.
That's-
Right, but that's.
But that's not our
the underlying
decision.
issue of all of this.
Say it again.
Heather, who do you represent? Which owner?
What, the owner? Oh,
Kristen Connor, okay, you're on the owner's list, got it. Okay, and they've got you in Ingleside and Aransas Pass, like they've sent this to two
Yeah.
addresses.
Well, let's discuss the time.
Okay.
We already know we're gonna go to fix or repair. Let's discuss the time.
Okay, what's reasonable?
I mean, fix or remove. So what time sounds reasonable? Does the city have an opinion?
there's no way to fix it in 30 days.
That was gonna,
Well, no, just-
You don't-
that was
you
gonna
don't
be my question,
just
like, I
permit.
knew you.
Just the permit.
Yes, nobody could,
I was like,
I don't know,
I know
you
this.
can hire the people that built that gas station and they might be able to do it in 30
Right.
days.
That's an application for.
Yeah,
the
okay,
review
so they
process
just
is
have to come to you with a plan.
Correct,
Yes.
and
And then
a
how
And
are you
permit.
gonna execute that
So
plan?
then you
And they
would,
get the
then,
permits from them.
then they would fall under regular building permit guidelines. And so those permits are in, they have a 6-month expiration timeframe that can be pushed out as long as work is
It's going
progressing. Inspections are happening, things are going. Houses usually take brand new houses usually take about 1.5 years. We've seen some go as many, much longer than that. But once they pull that permit, they fall under the regular building department processes that we can keep track of.
Well, given the number of people involved, what is a reasonable amount of time to comply with the replacing or fixing and getting the permits? What do you think? Because at the end of the day, they're gonna be dealing with you, not us.
Sure. So I think that's a discussion that they would probably need to be a part of as well.
Okay.
Because if you were to call engineers tomorrow with a plan of what you wanted to do, I think you could probably get that done in 30 days. I think you could get,
Yeah.
some kind of plan put together, some kind of permit application put together, if you were working
That's
hard
the
on
call
it
tomorrow.
every day.
Okay.
If you have to, get 10 people together to make a decision, that could definitely add some
Okay,
time.
can I
onto
ask
the
the audience if anybody has an idea up there? The lady that talked earlier, would you come back up, please?
For anyone.
I'm terrible with names, so.
Heather,
The lady in the green shirt.
Kristen.
Heather.
Thank you. Heather. What do you think about a time to either come in with the permits to replace, fix, or build a new home or tear it down? What do you think?
Straight permits and like an engineering report, is that what we're just talking about, or a tear
Whatever it
down?
takes to keep her
Correct?
happy.
The
Correct.
decision,
If
right?
you guys, we're asking for a time frame to do one or the other.
One or the other. I would say if you could give us 2 weeks to secure it and 30 days to like have that family meeting and try to come up with a plan. And we could come back to y'all and say, this is how we're gonna move forward.
So I think that's what we're trying to avoid is coming back.
Okay,
So let's say the time frame for you guys to meet together and come up with a plan. Knowing what you guys know about construction after that 30-day mark, about how much more time do you think you would need? And Sharon, you could probably
Yeah.
speak to this, to get all of the information together to apply for the building permit.
Thinking at least, okay, after they get together and put all their heads together, because we're gonna try to have some fucking heads here, okay?
Sure.
And we try to figure out, engineer, we can hire one in, it's gonna take anywhere from 30 to 60 days, because I mean, these guys, I like them and they can get me in and prep me like they did, get my project finished, because I
Mhm.
saw them. But I mean, get them to draw and get all this where it needs to be, because they're gonna want plans, to show where every piling is gonna be, because you can't have that one hanging out 10 foot out, and you got a little brace on the side of the building, that ain't gonna fly, We're gonna have to know where these pilings are gonna need to be, make sure what's there is gonna fly, if not, those are gonna have to all be replaced, because I mean, we're gonna have to start with the structure first, the actual out the building, the bones, what we call it. And then you go from there, and then from there, so I'm thinking, but they wanna know that when we can ask for a permit. I'm thinking about 45 days, we would come in within 35 days to ask for the permit. 30 to 45 days in between that time period. But in between, we're still gonna have to have the engineers, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Lining everything out, which, that costs money and it costs time, they don't just bump us to the front of the line, I've been running for probably 20 years on this. So I mean, everything is a process to do. So I think how do you feel, Heather, about that? 30 to 45 days, we're in between the 30 and the 45th day, we're in here saying, okay, we feel we can repair it if the rest of the family goes with it, you know? And that's what, but we're not gonna, if we put our neck on the line, we're gonna be the ones repairing it ourselves. We're not gonna have her contractor come in or somebody else. It's gonna be my guys that do it, you know?
Sure.
Our family, their family has to determine this, you know, because I'm the outsider. I'm attached to the hip I heard, I got her.
Sounds complicated. 60 days? 60?
I mean, that sounds like.
60 is better than 45, yeah.
Sure. So, Rose is with Mr. McKibben's office, who's our city attorney. She would like to come up and. Mr. Bowen, she's gonna come up to the microphone.
Excuse me, I'm gonna speak.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Hello, my name is Rose Harrison. I'm with the law firm of McKibben, Martinez and Wood. And we represent the city in this case. And I just have something to say about this code. You're under Texas Local Government Codes, section 214.001 is the one that y'all use to make your city ordinance under, that goes with your section 50350, correct? And there is something that says about when you're conducting a hearing authorized under this section, the municipality shall require the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee of the building to, within 30 days, secure the building from unauthorized entry or repair, remove, or demolish the building unless the owner or lien holder establishes it at the hearing that the work cannot reasonably be performed within 30 days. If the municipality allows the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee more than 30 days to repair, remove, or demolish the building, the municipality shall establish specific time schedules for the commencement and performance of the work and to require the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee to secure the property in a reasonable manner from unauthorized entry while the work is being performed as determined by the hearing official. A municipality may not allow the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee more than 90 days to repair, remove, or demolish the building or fully perform all work required to comply with the order unless the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee, 1, submits a detailed plan and time schedule for the work at the hearing, and 2, establishes at the hearing that the work cannot reasonably be completed within 90 days because of the scope and complexity of the work. If the municipality allows the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee more than 90 days to complete any part of the work required to repair, remove, or demolish the building, then the municipality shall require the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee to regularly submit progress reports to the municipality to demonstrate compliance with the time schedules established for commencement and performance of the work. The order may require that the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee appear before the hearing official or the hearing official's designee to demonstrate compliance with the time schedules. If the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee owns property, including structures or improvement on the property within the municipal boundaries that exceeds $100,000 in total value, the municipality may require the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee to post a cash or surety bond in the amount adequate to cover the cost of repairing, removing, or demolishing a building. So I just wanted to go over some of those, nuances in the law that you may want to consider.
So in summary, if they do choose to keep this building, they're going to have to do a lot of work and write a lot of reports and keep checking back in with us.
Which
And
is
so
what
that
we
is-
typically do with our building permit process.
Right, and so that's part of something that the family should consider if deciding to keep the building versus demolish it, is that correct? Okay,
So back to the time, 60 days? 45 days? It meets her 90-day window. You've talked to the people more than we have. Well, I don't know the
Well,
dynamics of
definitely
that
2
group.
weeks to get it totally
I would say that that's a
boarded
fair
up
assessment.
and
2 weeks.
secure.
I would say,
2 weeks to get it boarded up is, I think,
Oh,
more
okay.
than,
It's
more
a
than
two-part
fair.
request,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
2 weeks
Correct.
To board it
I
up.
mean, the 90 days to get the plans,
Right.
the permits and all that, yeah, board it up immediately, but
Mhm.
it's a big discussion for them to have. Involves a lot of money, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, 30 days for them to kind of meet together and come up with a plan. And then, they would need to have pretty extensive discussions with our building official on what needs to, what he wants to see in order to get the permit to rebuild that
So how many
house.
days to come to you with permits? 90, 60 or 45 or 30, what?
So
I say 30.
30?
Get the application
Okay.
started within 30 days.
Okay, 30.
So 30 days to meet and 30 days to get everything together, is that what we're
2
saying?
weeks and then the 30? Or
Yes.
What are we saying?
does that
2
make
weeks to
sense?
board it up. And then,
That's separate though, right?
yeah, but
that's-
then.
but that
they
gives
have to
them an
have
extra
that-
2 weeks.
Which would
So
put us
then
at
that would-
45 days.
And then give them, yeah,
Okay.
45
All right,
days.
all right, 45 days.
Well, 45 days is
45
30 days and 2
And
weeks.
2
All
weeks,
right.
okay.
So the language,
So previously that, do you have prior orders or anything? Previously, I think we say, motions have been to declare a certain property
you
unsafe,
listening when you make your motion? Thank you.
to declare a property unsafe and substandard, and then to discuss the timeframes that we talk about. The timeframes that we just talked about was 2 weeks to completely board up and, you know,
In addition.
to have it boarded up in 2 weeks, but to give 45 days for the family to have a permit
See, I used to
application
make
to
these
repair.
motions, but I don't now, so.
We're not gonna grammar check you or anything. I think if we get through all of the wording that we need to get through, it would be appropriate.
And with that, does that set the parameters that we talked about, like the fencing? Because if the big thing is even if the structure seems sound, right, and the framework seems okay, if it's the pilings are the
You'll mention
issue.
that in the motion.
And we board it up and somebody goes and tries to camp out underneath it.
Yeah.
Fence
Yeah, if you,
So
So I think
fencing it would be up to you guys.
would
Yeah.
really,
Is there any other discussion before I ask for a motion to declare this structure unsafe and unsound and demand its removal or replacement according to current code? Anybody, any other discussion on the board? Is there a motion?
So, just for date purposes, April 2nd is 2 weeks.
what day of week is that?
It's a Wednesday.
And then
And then, the 45th day falls on a Saturday. So I would say May the 5th would be the most appropriate day, which is technically 47 days.
okay,
But I would probably use those solid dates.
anyone want to jump in there and make a motion?
I make a motion to,
Oh,
I'll get out
go
of the way.
Paul.
okay,
I'll get out
I
of the way.
make a motion to. Do we have to
You have to declare it.
declare it unsafe, substandard? But give the property owners 2 weeks to fully secure the house and the property with fencing. And then an additional 45 days to come up with a plan to repair, replace, or destroy.
I don't think it was, I mean, I don't think you guys just discussed an additional 45 days. I think that
Isn't it?
Oh, is it all?
they worked all together.
2 weeks
Okay.
and 30 days.
2 weeks and 30 days, my mistake. I wrote wrong.
But do we need the dates? Because it falls on
Yeah.
a Saturday. So April 2nd
On this,
and May 5th.
It'd be 2 weeks and 32 days.
in the motion,
Mhm.
say
Okay.
the dates.
Yep.
So by May 5th, have a plan to either repair, replace, or get rid of.
Actually, pull permits by the May 5 May, is that correct? Okay.
A lot of words.
Okay, so that was motion.
I used to do this all the time, and now I can't.
Motion by Paul. Do we have a second?
Second,
Ken, do I second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Christy Littleton,
Yes.
Tina Grosspos,
Yes.
Stephanie Mustaine,
Yes.
Paul Rudd,
Yes.
and Noise Livings.
yes, ma'am.
Motion carried. Great. First, continue on with the agenda.
Okay, any comments and items for future consideration?
Could I also say something else?
We're still adjourned. I
Okay.
mean, we're still, in session.
Whatever. Okay. Can we have the water turned back on?
The work.
Unfortunately, we can't. When a property is deemed unsafe and substandard, we cannot have the water on for that property.
Okay,
Once a building permit is pulled, we can have those discussions with the water department. But as the building stands right now, the reason that we had them turn it off is because it wasn't in the condition to maintain it on.
okay. The water was only for the in the yard. There was no plumbing in the house. I had already stripped all the plumbing, all the cabinetry work. Everything was completely stripped out of the house. It was only for the yard and for use of, when you put a piling down in the ground in this sand, or I don't know about other places, but here in this sand, you need water.
Sure. And when a building permit is secured and in place and construction begins, that typically that's when the water department will turn that water back on.
So for building purposes.
Correct. All right. I don't
Good
have anything
discussion?
future.
Any comments, complaint? All right, it's about 8 minutes till 3 and this meeting is adjourned.
All right, thanks, guys.
These are thick folders.
That's a lot of
Wow.
pictures.
Huh?
That's a lot of pictures.
Somebody worked hard.
Carla took.
Yeah, Carla did the bulk of that
No,
package.
no,
so-
this is a lot of work.
a
This
lot of
is a lot of work, Carla.
That's a lot of years.
Y'all can have all the.
Thank you for your service, Carla.
See what? Your notebooks. Oh.
You can take more there. I'll get them. Just say if you want to take anything from the.
No.
Cycle.
Yeah, I'll just think.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
I
You can
used to
just
be
leave
the
those
one that put
packets right
together
at
the
your
wording
seat.
ballot
and We'll
for
take care of all.
We had, in the, after Harvey, we had a lot of
Oh, I'm sure.
condemnation. I call them condemnations. They say.
Get yourself
use that word anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
Politically correct, but,
Condemnation.
but now I don't get to make motions or nothing.
Nope.
So that's what we're gonna elect you as chair next meeting. Yes, and then there's a co-chair, and I think I know who it's gonna be.
Tina. People get nervous.
Okay.
I think this